morning, we have a speaker from our AV crew who I tried to recruit in mass 5 weeks ago, but 5 weeks ago, every Thursday, they were gathering. It's their busiest day of the week. I did not know who would be able to introduce Todd any better than Art Rogers. Art, though, is not in Atlanta right now and is traveling and was worried that his internet connection would fail him at the worst possible time. So in true Rogers fashion, what did he do? Well, he made a video. So give me a second here and I'm going to share my screen and we'll have Art introduce our speaker this morning. So let me see if I can do this right. I'm going to share my screen and turn on the audio, and now you'll see my messy screen, and we'll find this. Can everybody see Art?
Yeah.
All right. Art. Super. I'm going to play him and he'll introduce our speaker this morning, and the surprise will be revealed of where he went to school. And despite the fact that he went to school there, I'm still happy to call him my friend. Anyway, here's Art.
Good morning. It's my pleasure to introduce this morning's guest speaker. Todd Richardson was born and raised in Roanoke, Virginia, and graduated with honors from Virginia Tech. As you might imagine, he's passionate about his Virginia Tech Hokies. Todd has worked in media, including being a DJ for a classic rock radio station, producing community, government, and educational programming, and working for Turner Network, creating content for the NBA, TNT, NCAA, and NASCAR. More importantly, for the past several years, Todd has been leading the Roswell United Methodist Church Communication Department and the AV team here. And you can imagine what that's been like in the recent months as Todd has worked diligently to present our 3 worship services in your home each week via live stream. On a personal level, Todd and his wife, Jen, will celebrate their 20th wedding anniversary this September. They are proud parents to their 16-year-old daughter, Emma Rose, and 13-year-old son, Will. In being the good father that he is, when Todd's workday ends, you'll find him on the sidelines of his daughter's soccer matches or his son's cross-country meets. It's my pleasure to welcome this morning's guest speaker and personal friend of mine, Todd Richardson.
Hey, nice job, Art. I think Art and Cheryl and family are down in Florida, but I appreciate his willingness to introduce, even though he couldn't physically, digitally necessarily be here. Let me bring us back here into this mode. So Todd, it looks like we've got about 30 or so guys here this morning. Most of them have on their cameras. I think you might be the only one at work today. So guys, there's 2 ways to have your screen. One is this gallery mode. Oh, I'm sorry. I see Joe in the, Joe, are you at home or are you at work?
In the sanctuary.
You're in the sanctuary. Okay. So you got 2 of you at work today. If you're not familiar with Zoom, there's 2 ways to have the videos. You can either have lots of pictures or you can have whoever's talking picture. I'm leaving mine in gallery mode, but if you want to change it, it's in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. I'm going to pretty much, I see everybody has muted themselves. That's great. Todd, I'm very appreciative that on one of your busier days that you'd be willing to join us this morning. And Joe, and I know you've got several folks that you'll probably refer to as you give us your story. And Art and you have, probably been my connection. I see these guys at least once, twice a year at the end of a patriotic concert or at the end of a Christmas concert. I'm the guy who has to go get the video to take to the choir party. And every time I see these guys, I say, thank you for what you just did. You just made us sound good. But I know there's so much more to what you do. And I thank you so much for being here this morning and being willing to tell us a little bit about yourself, your journey, and about what's going on at RUMC, because it's not what we expected it would be in January.
Not at all. And whenever it all kind of broke, I read a great email about leadership, and there was 3 things that it said. to be exceedingly human, be persistent, and be creative. And so that really became our charge here at the church. How do you do that? And whenever things start to look different, RUMC is, I don't want to say we're event-based, but certainly a lot of what we do here requires people to come to our campus, whether it be a worship service or a kids event or whatever it might be. A Wednesday night out requires you to come here and have dinner with us. So what does that start to look like whenever you cannot do those things? And how do you be creative in that time? So it became, instead of the church coming to us, how do we go to the church? And how do we kind of flip that script? And so obviously, in terms of worship, the biggest thing was live stream. How do we increase? We know that the demand for it is going to increase. So how do we make it solid so that way it's better for everybody? How do we add on-demand options for video so that way people, and part of the leadership that I was just talking about, one of the 3 points was being human. And being human, it's how do you meet people's needs? And right now, some people need worship whenever they first wake up on Sunday morning at 6 a.m. So how do we have that option there for them instead of making them wait until 11 o'clock? Maybe they need something. So how do we help that human connection and interaction there? So one of the things we did was we started pre-taping everything instead of doing things on Sunday morning, so that way we can make sure that we had a rock solid product that was uploaded to servers and just sitting there ready for download instead of us creating another link in the chain that could be broken with upload and then download. So we take care of the front end of that by lopping that off. Other things that we've done, we've also started Facebook devotionals. Every day, or Monday through Saturday at noon, we have devotionals on Facebook. So that way you can get a little bit of our church and a worship moment, if you will, each day at noon. So that way we can invite you to be with us, and we're going to you instead of waiting for you to come to us. And in all of this, we started taping on Thursdays, and initially we were doing live band, and it was pretty much like a Sunday morning, only now instead of having 2 11 o'clock services, one with Chapel Roswell and one with the traditional service, we started moving Chapel Roswell to taping in the afternoon, and it became a day-long marathon. And so now we're doing virtual bands where the band is kind of playing at home and we're matching up their audio together for Chapel Roswell and for the 9:30 service. And so it's shortened our taping a little bit, but then it creates more work on the backside in terms of editing and matching everybody's audio up and then, mixing all their audio together. So it's definitely created, it's gone from a 40-hour or 45-hour work week, 4 or 5 days a week, into working 7 days doing 70, 80 hours a week to make sure that we get it all done. So part of it has been simplified, but in simplifying, we've made things more time intensive as well. But part of that goes back to being persistent, that I also talked about at the beginning, of finding a way just to get it done, to make sure that you have a product that's out there. Part of what we talked about whenever everything started to break out was that content is king. And so how do we create content? And that saying's been around for forever, but it's how do you make that meaningful content for people in this time that meets them where they are. So it was really kind of bringing in the third element of that leadership there as well, of the creativity, and bringing it back to those first 2 points. So that's kind of been the model that I've been trying to follow. And my job responsibilities go beyond just AV as well. It encompasses all of communications. So how do we do that for our website? Well, if you look at our website before everything broke versus now, we've gone back and we've simplified everything. So that way information is just that much easier to find on the website. Before we had so much information, it was how do you share it all? But now it's how do you get across the important information to people? So we've gone back and really looked at things going, okay, what's the most important things, making them super easy to find and really just simplifying everything. How do you do things with our Friday blast and email communications? And some of it was doing some extra communications there to make sure that people were getting the correct messages. And the way things are now, everything changes minute by minute. It's not even day by day. So sometimes you're putting something together and you get ready to send it out and it's already outdated. So how do you get things out quickly as well? So that way you're getting the correct information out at that time. And then making sure that it can actually live there. And then whenever it becomes outdated, changing it out to a whole new thing. So just looking at it, it's been several challenges in there to get everything done. But finding best practices in that as well. So it's definitely been a challenge. Kind of flipping back to the AV though, and so we started taping every Thursday, and then we go back and we put all the elements in. But it's really been a team effort. So please understand, it's not me in any shape or form. I help put it all together, but it's the team members that get it all done. So if you know Art Rogers, Scott Straw, Chris Burnett, DJ Jarrett, Steve LeBlanc, Bobby Dickens, reach out to them today if you've enjoyed one of these services and just tell them thank you. These are the people that are getting it done, running cameras, running audio, making sure that it all gets put together. These are the people. And AV staff, Cliff Marshall, Rob Albertson, Joe DeLallo, just send them a quick thank you. These are the people that are getting it done and making sure that we're all able to worship together on Sunday or throughout the week whenever it becomes convenient for you. So I'll just share a few stats with you as well, just to kind of show you what the numbers have been like and how things have changed. So April of last year, in terms of live streaming, we had 793 gigs of data go out. So that's people who go and watch. That's what we get charged back for, is how many people watch and how much they download. So 793 gigs of data. So that was about 1,500 views, and we had 31,295 minutes of services watched. This year for April, we did 6.6 terabytes of data. So that's 6,600 gigs of data. So almost a tenfold increase. And we had over 7,500 views and 246,500 minutes watched of services. Wow. It's been an incredible leap from where we were to where we are. And that also doesn't include that we were streaming on the WSB app. So Easter morning, we were the first service, the most watched service on the WSB app for Easter morning. So that was extra views right there, extra people. We started going, okay, how do we reach people that we normally wouldn't reach? Well, Art Rogers. Let me give Art a call. And they were looking for innovative ways to do things for dead programming time that they had. And they reached out to us and we were like, yeah, what do we got to do? Let's get that done. So we were able to reach out into our community and give them a message of hope that went beyond just the walls of this church. And you know, a lot of people, especially in the early days, that's what they were looking for. And we were able to provide that. So we really hope that that comes back on the back end and pays dividends for us in terms of people that we have either come to the church or just even know about us and know about the things that we do. We do so many great things here, whether it be job networking or a counseling center. Any way that we can get those people in and touch a life, I think just has dividends for what this church is and what it can do. So in terms of my personal journey,
Please. Yeah.
I had one of the coolest jobs ever. I worked for Turner Sports. So I've gone to Final Fours. I've been to NASCAR. I've been down, I have talked with Joe Gibbs at a racetrack. How cool is that? I mean, that's mixing sports together. I've sat on the baseline of Eastern Conference Finals. I've got to see LeBron James almost run over me. It was the coolest job. But at the same time, I never got to see my family. I was always on the road. I spent a whole month in South Beach following the Miami Heat. And it was great. It was fun. I was staying at the Ritz. I was staying in Four Seasons hotels. It was great. But as I was watching LeBron James play, I realized I was going to miss my daughter's game the next day. I don't know who chooses 10-year-old girls soccer over professional basketball. Maybe it's just me. But I had heard a great message about making margin in your life. And I had margin in terms of what my financial pay was. And I wanted to make margin for time for my family. And so that's what I chose. So I sacrificed one for the other, but I wouldn't trade it at all. And so I started looking for jobs, and I've been in church my whole life. I grew up Baptist. My mom played the organ at my church, so I have an appreciation for our traditional service. Every night whenever I go to bed, she would be practicing, and that's the music I fell asleep to every single night, was our traditional music that we have. I used to work down in the sanctuary building, and whenever Tom Alderman starts to play and rehearse, you hear it if you're in that building. And so every day was just a great source of hearing that and just bringing back memories from my childhood. But so I grew up in church, and then as I was looking for a job, I found the RUMC job come across, and I was like, it seems like maybe that would be perfect for me. And so I applied. I was sitting at the NBA draft and got a call from Mark Rogers saying, hey, can you come in for an interview? And so I went through the whole process and been here for almost 6 years now, and have really enjoyed it and seeing what we were. Whenever I started, we were still doing SD content and barely getting stuff out there. And now in terms of what we're able to produce in terms of high definition and the quality of things, we've really turned that around. But it's been a journey, but it's been a great journey. And in terms of spending time with my family, that was part of my introduction that Art gave. My daughter's soccer team has better video than any other person in Georgia. Yeah. So I really enjoy being able to spend time with my family and see them. And, even though right now I find myself probably working more than what I did whenever I was at Turner, because of everything that's broken out, I'm also at home. So I'm sitting right beside my son who's doing his homework, and I'm able to fuss at him because he didn't get something turned in on time or the right way. All right, so it's been great being able to do that and knowing that now that's the margin of my life is what's important. So I'd be happy to take any questions if you guys have anything or would like to know anything.
Well, I've got one I'll kick us off with here. Good Friday is the service every year that I look most forward to. It is the time that I crave the Good Friday service for a lot of different reasons. And I was kind of, anxious over what it was going to be like. I could take Easter being different, but Good Friday, I was so grateful that the approach that was taken for the speakers on the stools and the lights turning on and off was so dramatically different than what we'd ever done before. It really illustrated that creativity, that it broke me out of what I was longing for Good Friday and opened me up to, a new way of experiencing Good Friday. So my ask is, how do ideas like that go from somebody's thought to, what we got to see on Friday night?
Sure. So a lot of that was kind of driven by Michael Cromwell, and full credit to him of going, what makes that Good Friday service so special? And part of it is the space, being in the sanctuary as the lights go down and going, okay, we can't recreate that. Even if we put it in the space without actually being there, it's just not going to be the same. So what do we do to make it look different in a time where it fits? And what do we do this time? And so he came across the reading of the Good Friday service and passed that along to me. And then in terms of, so we couldn't have four people just sit there next to each other with social distancing in place. I couldn't tell people you need to social distance, but then have four people sit right side by side. And that was the only way that we were really going to accomplish that look, or that we needed. And so the idea for having them kind of come up on screen and the way they were lit and everything just kind of came to me of going back to the leadership 3 points that I was talking about earlier of being creative. How do you be creative? And that was just my creative idea of how do you kind of beat the social distancing, but still make it flow. It was probably not one of the favorite things that I've ever done, to be honest with you, but I have heard more compliments about that and good comments. That makes me kind of think maybe I just need to always kind of go against what it is that I'm thinking, because, maybe what I like isn't what everybody else likes. And if everybody else liked it, then it was mission accomplished.
So they were never in the room together. Those were all done separately, and then you wove them together?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Well, they were all waiting on each other to finish. So they were sitting in another part of the chapel. And sitting apart from each other as they read it, but they were never up on stage at the same time. They actually just sat in the same exact place, and because I had black all around them, I knew I could kind of hide it. So.
Oh wow! So, well, I'm amazed by the difference between what happens when you film something and what we finally see in the finished product. Those can be very, very different experiences, and it's just sort of amazing. I guess you've probably gone from 4 or 5 deliverables a week to now triple that, and it's like a concert week every week for you.
Yeah. So whenever you look at the patriotic concerts or the Christmas concerts, definitely I'm here twice as much as what I normally would during the week, because you have a whole extra show that's going on. You have Friday night, you have Saturday, Sunday afternoons that you're doing. But in terms of deliverables, one of the things that we do every week is community and faith videos. And Joe DeLallo a lot of times is the one that'll head that up, and we'll the pastoral team will share a name with us and a story that they would like to share, and then we'll get that to Joe, and then Joe finds them and gets it done. He turns them around in a week. But like even those, how do we do those now? That meeting with people in their homes or having people come here is different. So how do you make that deliverable still deliverable during this? And just trying to do it different ways by having some of our ministers talk about some of the things that we have going on, whether it be Nancy talking about the meals that we have, or Jacob talking about the meals that he's delivering, or having Marion talk about the garden that's in the back of the church and how that's starting to bear fruit and give back to the community in different ways, whether, through giving some food to Family Promise or to our meals program that we have going on now. So even some of the deliverables, yeah, we have more, but we're also the same ones that we had before. How do you do them in a more effective way?
Well, it's been astonishing to see all the different creativity come out, and as you say, every week there's a little bit of new spin on it. Well, I know there will be other questions here from the group. There is an electronic way to raise your hand, but most of you have on your cameras. And so if you'll do the old elementary school trip and just simply raise your hand, if no one else is talking, just chime right in. But I would definitely, I know there's interest in this group with, what's been going on behind the scenes. And I'm sure Todd and his team have had God moments that have gone on because their world in April was not what they imagined it to be in January. And so, feel free to chime in. Does anybody have a question right now that they want to ask? And if so, I'll make certain that you get a chance to ask it. I don't see any hands up. Okay, great. All right. So, hold on here. Let me float over here. Jeff Ross, you had your hand up, and then Joe.
Yeah, Todd, I'm just kind of curious about what you see in your crystal ball going forward, what other folks in your industry are predicting. I think everybody's longing to get back together, but with the way that folks have been able to work with Zoom, and like you said, you've found that the worship service being taped and people being able to plug into it whenever they wanted to is a convenience and a need for some people, that 11 o'clock may not be the best time to come to worship. So going forward, what do you have any predictions about what church life and worship and other activities will look like after this is all over?
I mean, not really. I mean, it kind of goes back to things keep changing. And as regulatory rules, which I don't fully 100% understand or get as they kind of open up and people are allowed on campus, and, if there's another wave of things, part of it is being able to be adaptable and go with change. And that's always something that I've really embraced, this change. So as things change, trying to spot what those trends are as quickly as possible, so that way you can get on board with them. But then being able to pivot if something else comes up quickly. So I can make a roadmap now, and I kind of have an idea of how I'd like to do things, but at the same time knowing that's probably going to change in 2 weeks. And how do I best put ourselves in a place to where we can adapt to that change quickly and effectively.
Good.
Joe, you had a question or comment?
Yeah, hey. I didn't know about the 20-year anniversary coming up, so congrats with that. But I was wondering, with everything being crazy right now and us going through this whole situation, and you said you're doing 70, 80-hour weeks, is the fact that you're home more now, doing a lot of homework, like, how have you been able to keep this time special, knowing that this is a big year for you guys?
So yeah, 20 years. My wife is a saint. She's for anybody to put up with me for that long is a miracle. But yeah, I mean, we made a deal kind of whenever everything came out. She said, if you work from home, you can work as much as you need to. But if you have to go into the office every day, then I want you to limit your hours. And I knew that limiting my hours wasn't really going to be an option, but I knew that I still needed to come in. So it was kind of trying to limit my time that I was here in the office for needed issues, but then kind of opening up my hours at home as much as possible. And she's very understanding. I mean, for her business, it's kind of the same way. And I think for a lot of us, it's exactly the same way who are still in business of, what do you do to keep your business afloat during these times? How do you keep your business going? How do you keep it going until tomorrow and then next week and next month? And so kind of do what's required of you. And you know, if you need to charge ahead, you charge ahead and put your head down for a little while. And then we'll make it up on the backside, or we'll do whatever we need to do. But, you know, like I said, I get to be at home, and I've made my kids, they need to do their schoolwork at the same table that I work at. So I'm sitting right there across from them. And normally I don't get that opportunity. So I'm cherishing it. I'm reading every email from teachers whenever it comes in, and then going, have you done this? Have you done that? Let me see your work on that. I don't get to do that. So for me, it's a special cherished time.
Well, Todd, I had no idea this was your first church job. I can't think of a better time to have someone who's come in from the commercial world with all the bells and whistles and all the possibilities to come into this environment. You know, who knew that we would be in a position where creating and streaming and all the things that go into this, which to those of us who consume it, it all just looks great. But, you know, there's so much that goes on in the kitchen before the plate is served onto the table for those of us who are mostly consumers. I'm blown away by the talent I see in your team. And, you know, many of them do it in their day job and then volunteer. This is their night job. And so countless hours that have gone into what used to be concert weeks and are now, you know, much more significant schedules. Just a tremendous sustained effort. What are you doing? What is the team doing to make this sustainable? Or have you found some essential things that help you keep this pace up now week after week?
For most of the volunteers, the biggest thing that we've tried to do is limit our taping time. So I'm not taking up a whole day and taking that away from them. We really try to keep it of whenever they get on campus, we hit record and we go. We don't always achieve that, but that's kind of what we're striving for. Because like I said earlier, it would not happen without the volunteers that we have. That's just the plain truth behind it. And that goes, you know, whenever we do get back on campus, we're going to need volunteers again. We're going to, right now I'm using a core team of volunteers who have, you know, told me that they're available and willing to help. But once we start going Sunday to Sunday again and doing things live on a Sunday, I'm going to need to open that team back up so that way I do not burn them out. So if you want to help us out, it's nice and easy. If you know somebody, if you have a son or a daughter who wants to help, or grandkids who want to help, whatever it might be, you know, we start taking volunteers at about 6th grade and working with them kind of slowly, and we'll take them as old as they come too. So there's a age limit at the bottom, but not an age limit at the top, and we can help with all your different skill levels as well. We're, you know, some people are already come in and are just naturals and pros at it, and other people need a little bit of help, and we're willing to help you through that process. So, you know, once we start getting back to normal, you know, if you have the time and you have the talent and you're willing to help us, we'll take it. Thank you.
I kind of remember Charlie Rogers, barely large enough to hold a camera, getting involved in, you know, that he has certainly come a long way. And those probably 15 years since then, maybe more than that. But it's sort of amazing to see. Are there other questions? I wasn't paying attention. I didn't see any raised hands. Want to give people a chance to ask Todd if they've got, some behind the scenes thing that they'd like to ask. If not, I have a table exercise that I'd like for us to do, that give us a little chance to find out what's going on in each other's lives. I don't see any raised hands, so I'm gonna try to break us up into breakout sessions here for just a minute. I know when we're in this large group setting, it's really difficult to get to know someone you may or may not know. For the most part, I'd just like to give everybody a chance to meet each other, find out what's going on, a prayer concern or a praise that's going on in your life. And if you're looking for a piece of trivia that you're looking for, find out if it's somebody's birthday this month. I know birthdays are one of the things that we used to, take for granted. And now having your birthday, your choices are very, very limited. It's like Zoom or not Zoom. And so take a minute here to find out the people who are at your table, what's going on in their life, and whether or not, their birthday is this month, if they're willing to share that. I'm going to do that for like 5 or 6 minutes and then pull us back together. This will be the first time I've tried to do this with this big of a group. You won't get lost, and we'll come back together in like 5 or 6 minutes, and it'll just give us a chance then, and pick one person from your breakout session to share something from your group. That's your only assignment. But I think this will give us a smaller table type moment to find out what's really going on in people's lives. And Todd, I hope you'll stick with us. And Joe, there may be some questions that come out of that process that if you can stick around for a few more minutes, that would be great. All right, so we'll try the breakout rooms here. I'm going to say options and sign. I'm just going to pick people, put people in groups together here of about 5 or so, and then we'll drop you right in.
Roger, can you hear me?
Yes.
Well, good. So I have not been able to get additional. All I've had is Eric, and I haven't been able to put additional people up or get that, because I don't have the icon in the upper right hand corner that Eric insisted I did. So is there anyone else in this group right now?
I hear you.
Oh, good. Okay, that's Steve Cook. I'm Stan Woolley. Hello.
Yes, Stan, Rusty. This
Rusty.
is Rusty. I'm in it too.
Oh, heavens. How did he get in this group?
I'm in it. The picture's a little tough. I'm in my old red pickup on a gravel parking lot. So, I'm on my phone, but I'm here. All right.
They can see. Well, you don't look any different having been in Alabama last week.
Well, last week, Roger, I've been there for 3.5 weeks. Okay. And I've been sheltering in place over there. It's been a really amazing experience. It's been a great time with the Lord. And I'm back actually in Atlanta. Got here last night, but I'm going back on Friday. So, and the girls come over, the granddaughters come over on the weekends, and we ride horses and fish, and in between time I build fence and do business from over there.
All right.
All right, I think I got all the other groups assigned. You guys are stuck with me.
Oh.
Hey.
This is Eric. This is Steve Cook. He's been a member of our church for a while, but he recently joined the choir, and apparently I just put him in another group. Oh no, now it's left to just the three of us. That won't do. I'd never tried to recreate rooms before. And so the three of us ended up being stuck together, and everybody else is in a group. So Rusty, you're in Alabama, or you're back?
Yeah, see, I'm actually back. I got back last night, and I'm here today and half of tomorrow, then I'm going back. So I've been over there for 3.5 weeks, and been hanging out over there, and it's been a really kind of like a sabbatical in some ways. Hard work. I do some business work on Zoom. I got my Beverly Hillbilly towers set up. I got, a couple of Yagi Zoom towers up on top of my barn, and I'm able to bring it in through a router, and I've got my Zoom speed, so I can do that.
Yeah.
And then I build fence half a day, and I spend time with the Lord, and so we've had a blast.
What have you found essential? Sounds like building fences you found essential.
Yeah, that really interesting thing is I've gotten a balance in every day that is really good for me. Now, I'm an old redneck, but one is I'm over there, Ann's helping the granddaughters with their school, and so I'm by myself usually Monday through Friday, and then Ann comes over, or my granddaughters come over, or both. And so time with the Lord in the morning ends up meaning for me time with the Lord all day. In other words, I start focused in the morning, and then it translates to the rest. So even some of the business work I'm doing, I notice that I'm very much more integrating faith into those dialogues. And then every day, so I end up with a couple hours, 2-3 hours between some work I do for ministries and business. And then I'll end up 3 or 4 hours of exhaustive work. And it's a great balance, and then some quiet time at night.
Wow. And Roger, what kind of essentials have you kept with in this unusual time?
Well, Gail and I are volunteering with the meals program at the church. I am officially designated as the ground traffic controller. I direct traffic as they come down the driveway, turn into a lane that we've created, come by the fellowship hall. Then Gail is one of the runners that takes the order, goes in and gets the food and delivers it. Rusty, you're going to have some of it this weekend because
that's what I hear. She showed it to me already. We had some before. You guys do a great job.
Well, Jacob is doing a fantastic job. Now, we have added a dimension this week. We have had Bonnie White play the piano, and we open the windows so as the cars come by. And day before yesterday, we had the Ewald band and set up outside and played, and they're going to be back today.
That's amazing.
So added entertainment to the pickup of food. And it really puts a smile on people's face as they pull down there and they see people doing something. So, and it's been a great outlet for Gail and I to serve and to just be with people at a distance.
Oh, yes.
Social
That's
distance.
Either one of you have a birthday this month?
Pardon?
Either one of you have a birthday or an anniversary this month?
Nope.
Not me.
Not me.
How about you, Eric, though? I got off your note that you're putting in some hours. Tell me about that.
It's crazy. We don't have that many direct employees, about 20, but they're all requiring more care and feeding because they're feeling the stress in a different kind of way. Virtually all of our clients are in the healthcare space. They've gone from going to offices and doing what they do in offices to having to find a way to do most of it from home. We've trained, we've trained and added hundreds of users in the last 4 or 5 weeks.
Wow.
We're sending out COVID materials because we're in the document generation and delivery and reception business. Every time you get something from one of your healthcare providers around or even other people in response to COVID, someone had to produce that document, someone had to deliver that document. And I can't tell you the number of hours that we're working.
Yeah.
I'm grateful though that no one in the business has gotten sick and been hospitalized. We've had family members that none have passed away. You know, we got people living in New York and elderly moms and grandmoms in New York, where one of our guys drives in every week and delivers supplies because she can't go out of the house. And,
Wow.
you know, but people have genuinely been kinder to each other, more tolerant of things that they can't control. But it's from 7:30 in the morning till 7:30 at night and half a day on Saturday.
Wow.
And I was supposed to have vacation starting next week, and we're supposed to go to Cancun, and you can't travel right now. So just trying to figure out how to get the work-life balance back. You know, there are other men, and when we gather back together here, that have lost their jobs. I'm constantly I'm once a week at least, I talk to one guy who, you know, my son-in-law lost his job, has been furloughed, and they're dealing with trauma at many different levels. And so I feel a little conflicted. I'd like to really be spending half my time engaged with other men outside my business, but right now my business is pulling on me pretty strong. So I'm trying to keep that in check. You know how it can eat you up. It can eat you up.
Yeah, everybody I talk to is either boom or bust.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Right down the middle. Well, I'm going to try and merge these the breakout rooms. Any prayer concerns from you guys? Any celebrations you want to bring up? All right, I'm gonna see if we can get all back together again, and hopefully we didn't lose too many people in breaking out into small groups. But we still have some decisions to make about what we'll do next week or next month. Let me close these up, and we'll hopefully get all merged back together.
Okay.
They get a 60-second warning that the rooms are about to close. I don't know. We're getting used to this stuff.
Well, I appreciate your service. I appreciate what you're doing is service. So there's a time when the bell rings sometimes and you're serving others. You just got to answer the bell.
Yep. You know? I'm grateful to have all the resources to do it.
Yeah.
So it looks like we're pulling people back from the rooms. Is it like you're being teleported? or did you get caught mid-sentence?
We did. All the important stuff we didn't quite get to.
That's okay. I think our purpose here is just to give people a chance to see what's going on and to see smiling faces or concerned faces, and being able to acknowledge that this is real and we're going to get through it all, you know, one step at a time. I think we're all learning what daily bread means in a new, profoundly different way. Looks like everybody's regathering.
We're back.
We're back.
I hope I didn't lose too many people. So are we still coming back in? Yes, sir. Do we have a question from Larry? Larry, I see you raising your hand, or the bright light has got you.
Yes. We only had 3 people in our little breakout room. Only 3 individuals made it to our room.
Sorry, I didn't do that very well.
That was fascinating.
Did you learn something from the 3 of you that you'd like to share with the group?
Well, we were talking about elections coming up on June 9th because John Sharp, who's also in our breakout room, he's involved as a precinct manager up in Forsyth County, and I've been active in the political process for many years, and a precinct manager of large precincts in Cherokee County. We're just looking ahead to June 9th and all the things that are coming about or hoping to come about to make this happen, because it's going to be a process, and to see what actually happens. The good news is that so many people are choosing to vote by mail-in ballot, and that's essential because that'll help us all. We don't need 1,000 people lined up at a precinct distancing and 6 feet apart to be a block apart. So it's going to be a challenge for all of us. Looking forward to the process.
Well, super. Bob, I see you have your hand raised.
Yeah, Eric, before we get
before we break up this morning, and I know that we're going to end in a prayer, I want us all to really put a good friend of ours in prayer this morning. Ernie Bond is literally under the knife this morning. He's having open heart surgery. They put it off, because they weren't having, surgeries that, and now they got it rescheduled for this morning at Piedmont. And, with this crazy world that we're living in, basically Linda dropped him off yesterday in the parking lot. And I guess at some point they'll call her to come get him again. So she can't even be with him. And I can't imagine what it would be like to have this kind of surgery by yourself with no one around that you know. So let's just cover him up in prayer and cover up Linda and their families and all of us that know Ernie so well as a good friend that are probably, thinking about him this morning. We just need to cover him up.
Could I ask you to close us in prayer here in a few minutes?
Well, I'll be happy to do that.
All right. I'm sorry that the table groups were not equal. Hopefully you were with folks that you knew and you didn't know and you got to know them. Could someone from one of the other tables, share a prayer concern or something you learned? Go ahead, Art.
Well, since Bob was just speaking, we just found out that Bob actually has a birthday coming up May 17th.
Oh, we have a birthday, May 17th. Congratulations, Bob. Ruth let you live another year. That's great.
Never thought I'd make it to 70.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I know there was at least 2 other breakouts. Did you guys pick a leader? Go ahead, Greg.
Our group didn't have a lot of quantity, but we certainly had quality in our group. It seems that we seem to all be feeling well and we're safe at home, but we also want to keep in our prayers those who have been affected career-wise with the change in the virus. Some people have been deferred, and some people have lost their jobs, and we're looking for new things. It's going to be a new world. It's not going to be like it was before, coming back and finding for work, especially with the glut of people who are unemployed right now. So keep all of them in our prayers.
Thanks for saying that. And I think there was one other group. Have we heard from all the groups?
There was my group, but it was me, Steve, and Steve. There was
you, Steve and Steve. I'm sorry, I did a terrible job with the breakouts.
No, it's okay. We tried to get some more talking. I feel like I talked a little too much. Steve had asked me some of the stuff that I had been up to during all of this because, as you heard from Todd, he's doing a lot of the live production stuff. I'm doing like some of the videos that precede that during the service when you play it back, like the Psalm videos and all those lyric videos that you see before the service. But I also shared personally why I haven't been coming in, even though I've truly missed. I really do miss coming in to film the services. And, my wife and I were going through some, we're trying for fertility again. We were trying for 10 years. And right when all this started, we thought there was a good chance that we were pregnant again. So even though it didn't turn out, I just wanted to preserve the possibility as much as possible, and also, just play the greater role in trying to not only protect ourselves, cross that bridge as we're all going through this right now, making that decision. So, anyways, yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that, Joe. I know, this year has been unprecedented, and sometimes that really opens us up to opportunities to talk about things that we would normally not be able to talk about. And I'm so grateful that this is a safe and trusting group that you can really share what's going on in your life and in the life of your family and your friends. There has never been a time where we have needed more connection than we need right now. And I want to thank, Todd and his team and Joe who are here today for all the hours that are going into creating these moments where we are thinking the same thoughts at the same time, even though we're not in the same room when we do it. That's what a gift it is to be able to do that. And I'm so glad that they're taking that God-given talent and using the tools that they have available to them and the time that they're taking from the rest of their life to do it right now. It is definitely a season for finding ways to be together when we can't physically be together. We'll never take it for granted again, the way we did. We will, the next time we can be in close proximity, I don't know if we will all, I don't know if anybody brought their own bacon. I do always try and bring some bacon down. I may not get to eat it on my yogurt. Before we close up here in prayer, I definitely want to, thank all of you for taking time this morning to be together. I hope you recognize some of the names in the breakout groups, and I hope you've met somebody new. We don't have a good sign-up sheet. I haven't really figured out how to do that effectively. If you want to all reply to my email and let me know that you were here this morning, that would be great. I'm trying to learn how to grab screenshots and do things like that. We're all adapting, and people are going to reach out to you and be willing to share what's going on in their life, and that's an honor when they do that. And finding time for each other, whatever that need is, you have to trust that that's going to be a good outcome. And so I want to thank everybody for being here this morning, for Todd for leading, and Bob, would you mind closing us with a word of prayer?
Sure. Dear Abba Father, just Lord God, thank you so much. There's so much to be thankful for. You allow us with this technology to have these warriors of yours get together, even when we have to be apart physically, but we're together technically. And Lord, we also give you the thanks that maybe this is a time when, I don't know, maybe you've taken this very bad thing that's happened in the world, and you stopped enough people, and maybe just shut them down enough to where they can actually listen to you more, and to understand what you want them to do. Lord, this morning we got one of your best, Lord. He's under the knife right now, and I just want you to, if you will, just lead and guide the surgeons, Lord. I know they're smart and skilled, and just make them better than they ever been this morning. And Lord, just make the nurses and the anesthesiologists and everyone associated that taking care of Ernie this morning, that they can just do their best. And he's in your hands, and we know that's where he needs to be anyway. Be with Linda. I know she's anxious. She can't even be there. She's probably at home just worried herself to death, but just give her some peace, Lord, and give her some comfort, give her some strength, and their family too. Lord, I know there's a lot of people that are worried this morning and that are anxious, but we just trust in you. That's what it says for us to do when we're in fear. And thank you again for the opportunity for us to get together, even though it's not together the way we define together. And just take care of us and lead us and push us in the direction that you want us to go, so that we can build the kingdom. We ask it in the precious name of your Son. Amen.
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 Thank you, gentlemen. Have a blessed day. It sure has started off great. I don't know if anybody saw the sunset yesterday, but it was on fire.
And the moon. Watch for the moon.
Watch for the moon.
Good
Thanks,
job,
guys.
Eric.
Okay.
See you soon.